Good afternoon and welcome to this evening's Sports Train. We have an action-packed hour for you of entertainment, information and education for all you sports fans. So stay tuned. Well, we have an hour, as I said before, and my fellow co-host is Mr. Reza Abbasali. Reza, let us dive straight into this evening's program. And we are hearing things coming out of the West Indies cricket. What did you hear?
Well, Astel, thank you very much. Again, welcome Sports Train fans on IETV here, beaming live from our studios here in Diego Martin. Well, Astel, we want to announce, of course, right now, we thank our gold sponsors.
Yes.
Blazers Sports Bar. I think the Blazers crowd, they're looking on right now.
The Blazers crowd.
And Docks Engineering Works Limited, they are gold sponsors, and this show would not have been possible without their sponsorship. Well, let's look quickly right now at our show this evening. Very packed, and I hope you would keep us company for the next hour. I still have a problem, and I want well, not really a problem. Let's start at the top. Dr. Kishore Shallow, of course, he's the vice president of Cricket West Indies, and the incumbent Ricky Skerritt is no longer going up for election. I think in March, about 2 months. But where are we going now with West Indies cricket? I have not heard any announcement who might be challenging Dr. Shallow and also his running mate and anybody, as I mentioned, as his challenger. There's something that is bothering me because we're having this debate on and on and on, whether it's coaches, whether it's the administration, or whether it's the players. Now, before you comment, during the year 2022, Astor, this is the West Indies one-day record during 2022. 21 ODIs, and they lost 5. They won 5, so they lost the rest. 24 T20 internationals, they won 8. They probably lost the rest. So is it a change of administration is going to change West Indies cricket? And then, of course, we ended just recently with that hammering against Australia in Australia. Where are we going? What can we look forward to with regard to the new administration?
The reason to answer your question, it has to be twofold. And like I said before in some previous shows, West Indies cricket, once the team is successful on the field of play, nobody asks any questions. But once there is problems, once there is defeat, and there's heavy defeat, as we see in the one-day matches and the T20 matches and in the Test arena, every single man jack in the Caribbean will be asking themselves serious questions. But I will tell you something. When Dr. Shallow and Ricky Skerritt came into office, they promised West Indies fans, they promised West Indies people that they're going to turn things around. And people were holding them to that. And I believe, well, Ricky Skerritt's term is coming to a close. And the fans in the Caribbean have not seen what they have promised. So I think that it will be a hard ask for Dr. Shallow and his new administration for it to continue, because you have to present something to the Caribbean public, and you must present to them a winning combination. West Indies cricket has been on the downfall for more than 35 years. And when you look at what is happening, there seems to be no way out. But I think there is hope. Once a young man like Dr. Shallow is around, I believe he can bring things to the table, new ideas, new technique, new administration, new everything, because West Indies cricket needs a total overhaul.
Well, Dr. Shallow, that's his photo right there. He's only 38 years old, Master.
Man, very young man.
And he's also president of the Windward Islands Cricket Board. And I have here, he's alternate director of the International Cricket Council. Correct. But here's my next question to you on the aspect of coaching. Oh my gosh. I mean, this guy from India, Desai, is moving out, and then Roddy Eswick is moving out. There will be a new dispensation.
And Phil Simmons has gone.
And Phil Simmons, of course. But still, how much is it coaching or not coaching? I want to ask you a serious question. How do we evaluate coaching or coaches in the West Indies?
Well, let me tell you something. I'm not a member of the West Indies Cricket Board executive, but I'm a man who is looking on. And I will tell you something. I mean, how do they go about evaluating coaches? I mean, we had the records here of all the previous coaches, what they went through, their wins, their losses, and all of that. But when you look at West Indies cricket, all the fans, what fans will be accustomed to, or what fans understand, is winning and losing. Fans want to know how many test matches we played and how much we win, how much we lost. And that is what the average Joe in the street wants to know. And looking at the players that we have now, and the new selection panel headed by Desmond Haynes,
right?
I think they have to come up with ideas, because the players themselves seem to be very short on experience, very short on technique. And I think coaching at that level, when you get players over 25, over 22, I mean over 20, 21, 22, 23, out to 25, there's very little coaching has to be done. And the coaching has to be done at the territorial level, at the secondary school level, and at the primary school level, because when you listen and you look at the great players, if you look at the modern day great players, the Stephen Smith, the Labuschagne from Australia, Virat Kohli, the Pakistani captain, all of them came through a system where technique was deeply enrooted into their DNA, and that's how they develop into top-class players. We have to, the West Indies coach, that man, he has a tough job on his hands, because he is getting, as some people tell me, an unfinished product. I think
yes, he always mentioned that.
Is yet to be completed, because our players are not up to that level, and it is because of their technical deficiencies.
How satisfied are you that the players themselves, and I'm not talking about T20 players in particular, I'm a test cricket man, you know that.
Okay.
I like the purified form of test cricket. How much would you blame, maybe it's a harsh word, are the players taking personal responsibility for their development?
Well, Reza, every player must take that personal responsibility for his development. We are talking about the men's team and the women's team also. They must take that personal responsibility. You must look at your game at the end of every season, every cricket season, and see where you excelled and where you fell short.
Correct.
And you need to take corrective measures. Like I said before, the players now are well paid.
Yes.
They play T20, they play all over the world, and they have money in their back pockets, in their front pockets, they have money in the bank. Take some of that money and invest it into yourselves, as what the tennis players do. These tennis players, they play for high stakes, but they also invest because they have their personal coaches. They have a personal coaching staff around them, and who are looking at their various games, and they analyze the games and tell them, listen, you see this here, this is wrong here, this is there. I think it's time that the West Indies players take their thinking to a different level. Take their game to a different level. And anytime you take your thinking to a different level, you are going to take your game to a different level by investing into yourself and seeking out the West Indies legends who are in the Caribbean, who have excelled at what you are attempting to do.
Well said. As a teacher, retired teacher, I was a reflective practitioner, where I would go through my plans, I'd go through my approach, my methodology. All of that was ingrained in me to be a better teacher.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm basically a coach. I was a coach of students who are aspiring to be great.
Exactly.
But anyway, we wish Dr. Shallow all the best. I mean, of course, he may have a challenger, which we don't know at the moment, but he has put his cap.
But I mean, competition is good.
Competition is good.
I mean,
well, we talk about the regional cricket again, and we come in to the week's Headley Trophy, and that is going to be played after the regional 28 days season. I'm seeing here that it's going to be 3 teams: Headley, Weeks. Headley and Weeks, best performances in the West Indies Championship, players outside the test side, all right, and a 3rd team that will include the West Indies Academy. Now, before you talk about the Weeks Headley Trophy, Everton Weeks was one of our greatest West Indian batsmen. Fans, just to tell you, he died at the age of 95 on July 2020. 48 test matches, 44, 55 runs, an average of 58.61, 1500s. And George Headley, we should have some photos there, but
Yeah.
Headley, of course, he died in 1983 at 74, 22 tests, an test average of 60.83.
Correct.
So, I mean, that is George Headley. I mean, he was the Atlas, we called him. What we want, the fans to do and youngsters to do, Astel, is that go into Wikipedia, whatever, or source of information, find out about these players and how they were able to perform at a fantastic level. That's what we want to encourage you guys to do, or girls also, and young men, young women. But back to the week's Headley Trophy that follows the 4-day campaign. How satisfied are you with this announcement?
I think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's a very good idea because I think the more cricket that the regional players are involved in is better that they will stand a chance of taking the game to a different level and being developed technically and mentally. The more cricket you play and the more tough cricket you play against the best in the region, then your mental capacity increases and your technical capacity also go on to a different level. But when you look at the Corsi Weeks, you just mentioned the man's average,
yes,
61 something.
Yes.
I mean, Everton, the Corsi Weeks, how many sixes did he hit in his career? How many test centuries he hit? He had 5 consecutive centuries.
Yes.
On the trot.
Yes, against England, and then he went up to India. Yeah.
Throughout his entire career, recorded 1 6. He believed in hitting the ball along the ground. He believed in pulling down. He doesn't believe in hitting the ball in the air because he said, and I heard him say that, is that once the ball is in the air, he stands a chance of being dismissed. Once the ball is on the ground. But then you come to George Headley.
Yes.
The Jamaicans call him We Judge. Right?
We judge.
Yeah, we judge. And the Caribbean man called him Mr. Atlas.
Yes.
This man, there was a story behind George Headley. During a series against Australia or England, he was dismissed very cheaply playing on the onside. Very cheaply in both test matches, and in both innings of a test match. And so they said that they found a way in which where they can dismiss this man very cheaply. On the onside, he went from the second test match and he developed to be a very good onside player, excellent player. And from that, then he went on to score all his runs. There wasn't any weak part of this man's armor. So it shows that once you look at your game, you understand your game,
right,
you can develop your game. And this is what the modern day West Indian player needs to do. He needs to spend time looking at his game. Spend time with your coach. Spend time with the man who is videotaping you. Spend time with the bowlers. Spend time to develop, to take the game to a different level. And the most important part of it too is your mental capacity. That capacity to bat very long hours. 3 sessions, Brian Lara said it. You have to be able to bat in sessions and long sessions too.
Yes, like Shiv Chandra Paul. I mean, these guys lived in the nets.
Exactly. That's the only way.
That's the only way.
But I mean, the idea is a very good idea to have the week's Headley Trophy up for grabs.
Excellent. All right, let's take our first break, and when we come back, more on the Sports Train.
Correct.
My name is Riza Abasali.
My name is Astil Ren. This is Sports Train. Get on board. Join us every Sunday afternoon for a 1-hour-long live program on ITV. your station for real sports.
That's victory for the West Indies, and Sheldon Cottrell has done it.
And we have some interesting features, such as
Great moments in West Indian cricket. Rising stars.
Where Are They Now? Our former sporting icons. Sports Train on IETV. Don't miss it.
Welcome back to the Sports Train here on IETV, and the train is moving fast as still, beaming live from our studios in Diego Martin. And right now we have a beautiful interview, really, courtesy my good friend Astel Wren with the media officer of Trinidad and Tobago Football Association, Sean Fuentes. He was in Qatar for the World Cup, and the interview that he has, or how is coming forth to you, is basically on his experience in Qatar and what probably could be, setting forth for football in Trinidad and Tobago. Sean, of course, has been to 5 World Cups. I mean, amazing. He did say that the 2006 World Cup experience was the best. But Astel, tell us more about this interview that you did with Sean.
I mean, Sean Fuentes, he went to Qatar, and this time around, for the first time during his career as a media man for FIFA and for the TTFA, he was given the privilege not to be working, doing reporting and writing and sending back photos and doing. For the first time, he was given some leeway to get the sights, the sounds, to understand the people, to move around a little, and he did exactly that. And I came across an article which he wrote, and I was very impressed with what this man captured. He captured the sound, the food, the people, what went on, the politics, all that went on behind the scenes. And he spoke about, there was a part of this experience called the Fan Festival. Most of us know it as the Fan Zone, but Sean will explain to us, and I think Sean did a fantastic job by really bringing us the sights and sounds of Qatar. And he also told us that he met, or he linked up with his good friend and our friend, Shaka Hislop.
Yeah.
Shaka was there with CNN, and he had the opportunity to really meet up and visit Shaka at his studios, and they had a good time. And Sean wasn't actually working, but he was working. Right. So I did an interview with him, and this is what Sean said to us, and this is what he discovered in Qatar.
Beautiful.
My first question is, Sean, when you were going into Qatar for the World Cup, because this was or is your 3rd World Cup, did you have any apprehensions about the country when you look at what went beforehand, the mostly negative thoughts, the Islamic State? What were your thoughts going into Qatar?
Well, strangely, this time around, this was going to be my 3rd visit to Qatar. Previously I'd been with one of the national youth teams more than a decade or 2 ago, when we were preparing for under 20 World Cup. And the previous time to this arrival would have been to the FIFA World Club Championship. That's like the World Cup for clubs. That was back in 2019. And I had a good understanding of what Doha would have presented in terms of the environment, the infrastructure, the nature of things around there. So this time around, I was not too particular about, whether there were going to be any sort of difficult situations or any laws that we had to abide by that would have made it an uncomfortable, visit as compared to previous World Cups. This is I think this is like my 5th World Cup. I've worked at 2 World Cups before for FIFA. One with the Trinidad and Tobago team as press officer at the Germany 2006 edition. This time, just like the previous World Cup to Russia, I was invited by a couple of companies to visit and to experience as a fan. And obviously I was not going to turn that down, because even for an event such as the World Cup, if you're attending as a spectator, there are so many opportunities to learn, so many different windows to expand your network and to get a feel of what modern day football and football organization is like. And for us, coming from a country like Trinidad and Tobago, where we are, the football history is so deep here, and we are aspiring to improve our current scenario or our current conditions in football. I was not going to turn down this opportunity. So getting to Doha, following a 14-hour flight from Miami, I was a bit comfortable with landing in Doha and not having to go through any difficult periods or sort of screenings as you would expect, because as you mentioned, you were hearing all these different stories about all the restrictions and the different laws in Doha and the way they were treating people who wanted to express their democracy and fights against discrimination, etc. And this time around, we had no issues at all. I mean, even applying for the higher card, which is like the fan pass that allows you access into Doha and into the country, was very easy. And once we arrived there, we got in there like the week of the semi-final. So we really went there to experience this final week of the World Cup, which was going to be the 2 semi-final matches and of course the final. And right away we felt at home.
Oh, so this was ideal for you, Sean, because this was not where you didn't go there with intentions of having the grind of work every single day, but you were invited, and so you had a little more leeway to look and see what's happening with the World Cup itself.
That's right, Astor. So my previous appointment as a FIFA media officer in 2010, which was in South Africa, Nelson Mandela, first World Cup on African soil. Every day our schedule was maybe 16 hours of work, from early morning to late night. And yes, you're in the midst of all the activities and you're getting to be up close with all the stars and all the teams and actually at the center of everything happening. But it didn't allow us to experience too much of what was happening on the outside of the venues. Similar to when I was there as the press officer for the Trinidad and Tobago team. Yes, it was an honor to be part of everything happening in the Trinidad and Tobago camp, but we were not allowed to really embrace the fans and get a feel as to what was happening outside of the hotel, outside of the training, the pitch, outside of the venues. This time around, I was able to experience a bit of both, because I was able to rub shoulders with a few of my colleagues in FIFA who were actually working at this World Cup. I got a chance to obviously meet up with Shaka Hislop, and he opened his arms and extended an invitation for me to experience and to visit the ESPN studios in West Bay, which is on the waterfront in Doha, a magnificent scene there to see how a network like ESPN, how they would set up for such a massive event as the World Cup. So I got a chance to meet some of his fellow presenters. Also got a chance to meet with the great Mario Kempes of Argentina, because he was one of the panelists with the ESPN team for this World Cup. And that allowed me to be in touch with the modern day way of modern day methods of football presentations and the way a network like ESPN would present. And all this with the hope of, bringing some of this back to Trinidad and Tobago, because at the TTFA, we are obviously aspiring to get to World Cup 2026, and we need to up our game. We need to improve the way we operate as a country, not just as a football organization, but generally the media in Trinidad and Tobago. We have so much to learn. We have so far to get us still, and I make no excuses and no apologies for saying this. While I'm happy to see that the progress that we've been able to make as a country, we are so far behind. You look at the presentations and the way the World Cup was presented to local fans in Trinidad and Tobago, and I have to say we are far behind. We are aspiring and we have ambitions, which is always good. But, we need to see what the outside world is doing. And it is a pity that, none of the local networks were able to send a correspondent of worth to go to a World Cup and not just sit in the stands and try to advertise local products and show that they are at a World Cup, but go and get a feel of how, the management side and the networking and the production side of what it means to put together a show for a World Cup. I really would hope that we at the FA can extend this opportunity to some of our local peers going forward, because I think we have a lot of potential here in Trinidad and Tobago, but we are still very far behind. And I'm very grateful to have had this opportunity to get to a World Cup in modern day in 2022 and see what is happening out there, because as you know, Astel, we host massive events here in Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to host the World Cup qualifiers in the future. We're going to be welcoming the likes of a USA and a Mexico in months to come. We have the Youth Commonwealth Games happening very shortly in this country. We have international cricket stars are always in Trinidad and Tobago. And I still feel as though we have a way to go in terms of matching, what is happening on the outside world. And you know, you look at a place like Qatar, and people might be thinking, what do they know about football? What do they know about hosting the world's greatest event? And I can tell you, they were second to none. I think they were on par with any of the World Cups I've been to previously, including Russia 2018, Brazil 2014, Germany 2006. They were on par, and possibly even better in some avenues in terms of the way they were able to welcome the people, the infrastructures that were in place, all the different systems, from transportation to security, hotel accommodation, the fan festival, etc. They really opened with open arms, welcomed the world into Little Doha. And the thing about it is that Qatar, yes, they have a bigger population than Trinidad and Tobago, but they're not that much bigger than what we are. And they were able to again, you know, host and stage such a magnificent event. And it's just my hope that in our lifetime, still that we in Trinidad and Tobago can get to those levels, you know.
Okay, Sean, in your article, you pointed to the fan festival. Is that the equivalent to the fan zone? I mean, because
so it's equivalent to what we know as the fan zone, but on a much greater scale. Just to give you an idea, we stopped by the fan festival for the Argentina-Croatia semi-final game, and in that facility, there were over 15,000 fans, almost as though you were in a stadium to watch a game, with massive LED screens at every corner in the facility. A wide range of restaurants offering different cuisines from different cultures, especially from Qatar. You had the FIFA Museum. The FIFA Museum, as we know, it's based in Zurich, in Switzerland. What FIFA did for this World Cup is that they transformed part of their fan festivals into a FIFA Museum. So you could have gone there and experienced what it is like to be in the FIFA Museum. You know, all the different partners of FIFA had their different booths set up along the facility. So it's the size of the FIFA Fan Festival is just to sort of picture 3 times the size of the Hazy Crawford Stadium, that being converted into a fan festival with, you know, different factions and different booths and different windows of opportunity for people to experience what a World Cup was like. Of course, a lot of the persons who would have flocked to this fan festival were those who were unable to get access to tickets for the stadium, but we also wanted to experience the fan festival, and we chose that semi-final game to stop by and experience what it was. But aside from that, Astil, you had what you call the Souk Waqif, which is the main bazaar sort of flea market that is present in Doha. And I'd gone to that for the first time in 2019, and I'm sure that I wanted to visit it again in this World Cup and this visit. And that, for me, was the prime venue to be during this World Cup, because that is where the fans of all the different countries who are at the World Cup, as well as the visiting fans as well, everybody flocked to that venue from as early as 9 a.m. each day right till about 2 a.m. Where you were able to meet, you know, different peoples from all walks of life, different cultures. You were able to experience the large bands of supporters from the 4 remaining teams. And must I say, the Moroccan contingent, they were fantastic in this World Cup. They totally outnumbered the Croatians. If you looked at the France-Morocco game as well, even in that match, they totally outnumbered the France fans at that venue. They were very well represented, and they were a joy to be among. And of course, you know, the Islamic nature and their culture is very relaxed, and you feel a sense of calmness when you're among them. So in the Souk Waqif, there were a lot of museums that were present where you could actually walk in and you can hear the different types of music being played, and you can sample different cuisines and different desserts, and of course the different types of Islamic wear that has grown very popular ever since Messi climbed onto the stage to receive the World Cup trophy in the Islamic attire. And it was quite a joy to experience this. I must say, it was a World Cup with a difference. You didn't miss the alcohol. If you wanted to get a glass of whiskey or a shot of vodka, there were certain points where all the hotels had the privilege of serving alcohol. But on the streets and in the Souk Waqif and in the fan festivals, there were no alcohols being served. But you didn't miss it. You didn't miss a cup of beer in the stadium because of.
What an interesting interview with Sean Fuentes, the media officer of the TTFA, and he's also a FIFA executive, if you can call him that. He made some interesting points and some blatant points. Reza, what do you thought about the interview?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I'm dumbstruck. Oh, I mean, really fascinating. It's a story of culture, it's a story of experience, you know. And the thing about this Qatar tournament, which is probably regarded as one of the best, you know something, Astel, you know, a lot of those stadiums, or one or two of them, was built from ship containers. And the Qataris, have pulled them down and probably recycling them at the moment.
Exactly. So we can say at this time, we say, Sean, well done. Thank you so much for the interview once
Wonderful.
again, as we said before. And we take a break. And when we come back, we have a surprise for you.
I come from a place I love. Vibes don't get this never stop. Like something just trigger away. Like you with them this deep energy.
My name is Riza Abasali.
My name is Astor Ren. This is Sports Trade. Get on board. Join us every Sunday afternoon for a 1 hour long live program on ITV, your station for real sports.
That's victory for the West Indies, and Sheldon Cottrell has done it.
And we have some interesting features, such as
Great moments in West Indian cricket. Rising stars.
Where Are They Now? Our former sporting icons. Sports Train on ITV. Don't miss it. Welcome back, and you are viewing Sports Train right here on IETV. We are based in Diego Martin, and we must say a big thank you to Blazer Sports Bar and to Docks Engineering and Works Limited, our golden sponsors. They have been with us and they have shown faith and confidence, and we must say these two sponsors, they are really gold sponsors indeed. Riza, I mean, now that we have gotten these two big sponsors on board, we can talk about our this segment coming up, because when you came to me and you said that you have a very, very good athlete, and you said, Astor, can we use her as a rising star? I said, she's bigger than that. She's better than that. I mean, she has passed the age of being a rising star, but she is a star in her own right. And this person that we are talking about, she is a tennis, a ping pong sensation. Take it up from here, Lisa.
Well, thank you very much, Astel. I got in contact with Ryan Chung, our iconic table tennis champion, 5 times table tennis champion, female, of course, category of the Caribbean. Now, she lives in, I think it's Northwest France, Astel, and she has been living there for the last 28 years. I got, of course, with social media right now and connection with the internet, I mean, anything is possible. And Rian's interview, which is, I mean, beautiful, I mean, it's really also, of course, touching also, because I asked her about the passing of her stepdad, Dexter St. Louis. And Dexter, of course, you may remember, was only, he attended at 2 Olympics in 1996 Atlanta and 2008 in Beijing. So I was proud, I was happy to have connected with Ryan Chung. I think she's originally from San Juan. Her mother was a former table tennis player, I mean, well recognized, Jerome Lalman Chung, back in the 70s,
Correct,
maybe.
yeah.
And I am proud of this interview, just like Astel was wonderful with Sean Fuentes. So let us have a look now at Ryan Chung and what she had to say during my interview with her from France a few days ago. All right, Sports Train fans, we now have Miss Ryan Chung on Rising Stars. Welcome, Ryan, to IETV. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Happy to be here.
It is really a pleasure. Tell me something. How did you start playing table tennis? From what age, and who were the persons that motivated you to start playing table tennis at a high level?
Well, okay, my mother used to play table tennis.
Oh, Jerome.
Jerome.
Sorry. Yes.
Jerome, yes.
Yes.
So she was national champion back in the day. Was from 1990, 1991.
Right.
She was national champion. So when I was small, I used to accompany her to training.
Right.
And I used to do like little drawings and stuff while she was practicing, you know, stay in a little corner and do my little stuff. And then after, when she was finished, she would play with me. And this was, you know, so it's basically like that, you know. And then after, you know, I really realized that I liked it a lot.
Right.
And, you know, it just became a passion for me. So I think it's in my blood. I believe it's in my DNA from ever since. So yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Tell me what primary or secondary schools you attended. Were there any mentors? Were there any persons who really pushed you from secondary school, primary school and off?
I went to Sawan Presbyterian School.
Okay, right.
And then at the age of 9, I left for France.
Yeah.
So I only spent 9 years in Trinidad.
Oh, look at that. Okay, great.
Yeah.
But were there any mentors and persons that come to your mind at that age? That who, you know, apart from
my
your
mom.
Yes, just your mom.
My mom and Dexter as well.
Right. Okay.
Then Dexter had left for France. But I would say my mom at that time specifically, was my mom and Dexter. Yeah.
No, this is a good key question I had, which I'm going to put to you. How did you get the opportunity to play professional table tennis in France?
Okay, so when I was little, I played in France. I started in France at 9.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for a club called Camp Bordeaux.
Right.
And at the age of 19, I was playing at a national 1 level already. So the coaches at the club saw a lot of improvement in my game.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I was offered a spot to play in, you know, the Super Division.
Yes.
You know, so that's basically it. You know.
What is the name of the club you play currently for, and what success have you had?
My club right now is in the north of France. It's called Lys-les-Lanois.
Okay.
We play in second division, which is called Pro B.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the first phase. There's 2 phases. The first phase hasn't been so well for us.
Okay.
You know? So there are 8 teams, and well, we are 6 right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no demotion. Nobody is getting demoted. So in the second phase, there's where everything will be played out.
No, great
So
man.
we hope not to get demoted and just
all right.
stay.
You got. You're moving well. You are a 5-time Caribbean women's table tennis champion. Was there any tournament in particular that remains in your mind, that keeps in your mind in any one of those championships that you won as a Caribbean player?
That's a good question. I think the one that really stands out for me was in 2004, the Caribbean Championships Senior in 2004, because it was in Trinidad.
Okay.
It was in Trinidad that year, and I won there.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really memorable for me because, you know, just to win in front of my family and my friends and the home crowd, that was it was an excellent feeling.
Imagine. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is a big one. The bronze medal that you won at the 2013 Latin American Championships in the Dominican Republic was a major achievement on your part. Tell us a bit about that championship.
Wow, that tournament for me is the highlight of my career. That was yes, that tournament for me was my best performance, honestly. You know, that one was really something else because I really played good in that tournament. I had prepared well. And, you know, I was also the only English speaking to be, you know, to be on the podium, you know, with 3 Brazilians and me. So that was really something, and I was glad to represent, not only to win for me and Trinidad, but to
Right.
represent the whole English-speaking Caribbean as well.
I can
So
imagine.
that was really, really, that really felt great.
I
know?
can imagine.
So,
Now,
yeah.
I spoke with you before, 2009 in French Guyana was special for you and your stepdad, Dexter St. Louis. Give us a bit of those memories in French Guyana.
French Guyana 2009. Wow, you're taking me back. 2009 French Guyana. Yes, well, we swept away everything. We took
Yes,
everything there.
yes.
Yeah. So that was also really that was something that
Special, yeah.
it was special. It was special. But for me, it's not one of the Caribbeans that really stands out for me.
Okay.
Not that one. But
All right.
I mean, all the Caribbeans were special. Obviously,
Obviously, yes.
But 2004 for me, yeah, it was
Well,
the greatest one.
I mean, I knew Dexter. I mean, not very personally, but I met him a couple of times. And his passing on May 16, 2019 was a very, very sad moment, not only for you, but for all of us. How have you coped since his passing, Riyadh?
It's not easy to live without him. He was basically the leader of the family. And not to have that leader anymore, you have to readjust. And the adjustment is taking time.
Yes.
So, it's not easy for my mom, my sister, and myself. We live day by day, and he's always with us. He's always, we talk about him every day, every single day we talk about him. We can feel his presence, and me especially, like, I miss him a lot at training. I miss him, especially like when we have international tournaments. This is where I miss him a lot because, it's always both of us. And we always practicing together. He's there by my side, coaching me, and I am there by his side, also coaching him. We play mixed doubles together. So it's really, really, it's not easy. Soon will be 4 years that he has passed, and he's still very much omnipresent, and he will always be omnipresent in our life. Yeah, but it's not. It's sometimes, you have moments where you feel a little. You feel a little like down, and it's like, okay, he wouldn't like you to feel down, because he was a very uplifting guy and very positive. So he wouldn't want me, neither my family, to feel down, So, but it's not easy. It's really not easy. So we're taking it day by day.
Yes, and he was only 51. I know, I
only
recognize
51.
that. Yes,
only
yes.
51. Yeah.
Yes. Well, God knows best, Riyadh. God knows best, as we say,
God knows best.
Well, this is another. I mean, you play table tennis competitively and professionally, but it's a lot of our sportsmen cross-train with table tennis. What has table tennis in terms of its effect physically and mentally to players? What do sportsmen and women derive from playing table tennis? Should youngsters be encouraged to start table tennis?
Of course, table tennis is the best sport in the world.
Okay.
But I saw something saying that it's one of the hardest sports in the world.
Yes.
I read something the other day about that. Because it has a lot of benefits as well. In terms of agility, reaction, eye-hand coordination. And it's a longevity sport as well. You can play for as long as you want. If, for example, in the club day where I practice, you have guys playing at 65, 70, they're still playing.
Yes.
So it's a lot of, and it's fun as well.
Yeah.
So you can get to socialize with a lot of people, make a lot of friends, I see it every day where I practice,
Good.
Yeah, and I think it's a good sport, and if you're really serious about it, especially for younger generation, and you have a burning desire to want to improve and become this great player,
not a problem.
Once you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything. What isn't it to anything else?
I would start back by table tennis. You know, in 1978, I won the men's B title in Port of Spain. I defeated Glenroy Bain.
Glenroy, but really? Yes,
Yeah, you remember? Yeah, man.
I don't know, but he passed away.
He passed on.
Yeah. I didn't know him personally, but my mother and Dexter, they knew him very well.
Well, we coming to the end of the interview, and we are very, very pleased to have you here on IETV. You're now 37. What are the plans for Ryan Chung in the next 3 to 5 years? Paris is just around the corner.
I think I nobody can see the future.
Yes.
But if once I'm healthy and physically well and feeling well, with no constraints at all, none whatsoever, I intend to compete. In all the games, AC games, Pan Am games, if I qualify a Caribbean championships, in all the games, once I am physically feeling okay, I'll continue to play,
Yes, fantastic.
So, yeah, of course. And but again, you just never know what life has in store for you. So
no, you don't know. You don't
know. But yeah, basically, I love it. I still love it. I have, I'm very passionate about it. But the day that I have no desire anymore to play or no more passion, that's the day I will stop.
Great. Well,
yeah,
it has been a pleasure. I mean, it's so a pleasure to have you on board. We hope to see you back in Trinidad soon, but we want to wish you all the very best in your future endeavors, Ryan. You have been an ambassadress to the people of Trinidad and Tobago in the field of sport and in table tennis. Thank you so much, and let us keep in contact.
Yes, man, I hope, Astel, you talk about I'm an ambassadress of table tennis, but, she mentioned about, the advantage of playing table tennis as a cross-training sport. I mean, our cricketers and other sportsmen and women should know this.
Okay, yes, it's true. I mean, cross-training, especially the cricketers and some footballers. I know some test players play table tennis. And I remember Roy Fredericks being a very good table tennis player. And what happens is the hand-eye coordination.
Correct, is right.
It makes you pick up the cricket ball very fast.
Small ball, ping pong ball.
And your reflexes. It's very, very good to play table tennis in whatever sport you're playing. If you're playing football, cricket, basketball, whatever, it develops your flexibility and your ability to respond very quickly.
Yeah.
Table tennis is an excellent game. And I must add, Reza, that you would be champion in 1978. You got past a man called Glenroy Bain, who I know well. I mean, 1978.
I had my days in table tennis, I still could hold a racket. I got to start back, no doubt about it.
Very much so.
Before we take the final break, Dexter St. Louis, her stepdad, died on May 16, 2019.
Yes,
as I mentioned before in the program, and that's Dexter and Ryan, I think that was back in 2009.
Correct. Yeah.
Dexter qualified for the 2008 Olympics at the age of 40, his second Olympics, right? And to qualify for that, he won the Latin American qualification tournament in the Dominican Republic. And that's the photo of him celebrating his victory at the Latin American qualification tournament in the Dominican Republic in 2008. Ryan told me that he beat a Mexican, a very, very close and exciting match, 4-3. He was leading, Dex was leading 3-0, and the Mexican came back. I think his name was, she told me, Marcos Madrid. And that was, the celebration, with Dexter. But he was only 51, Astel.
And the message there, that Dexter sent out there is that you're never too old, because he was 40, you say?
Yes.
When he qualified 40 years, one is never too old. Once you keep your body fit, once you keep active and you keep your focus, you can achieve whatever you want to do. So Dexter, he was a really an example to all those who think that after the age of 35, that you're finished. Dexter St. Louis proved to all that at 40 he can qualify for an Olympic Games.
And my last comment before we take the final break is this. I was surprised to read that as still in January 2013, Dexter St. Louis was ranked 342 in the world by the International Table Tennis Federation. And this is him, you know, in that in Beijing.
Beijing, yeah.
You know, this guy was, as I mentioned, and Rianne there,
yeah.
Well, she told me that she went there as his coach.
Correct.
And you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. Look, this is what sport trade is about, Astor.
Exactly. Let me tell you something about Dexter St. Louis.
Yeah.
Dexter St. Louis, Brian Lara, Dwight York, and Russell Latopi. These are sportsmen. Hasty Crawford.
Yeah.
Ephraim Serret. These fellas, I can sit and hold and watch these fellas do their discipline, their respective disciplines, and there's a joy. We had a Nicholas Paul is one of those fellas also. Justin Phillip, Gene Samuel. These fellas, you can sit all day and look at these fellas execute their respective discipline, and there's a joy that comes out of each and every one of them. And you are excited to sit down to watch these guys. Dexter St. Louis has that. He has charisma, he has charm, he has aggression, and he has everything going for him. And he executed well.
Dexter, may your soul rest in peace. Let's take our final break, and when we come back, great moments in West Indian cricket. Stay tuned. My name is Riza Abbasali.
My name is Astil Ren. This is Sports Train. Get on board. Join us every Sunday afternoon for a 1 hour long live program on ITV, your station for real sports.
That's victory for the West Indies, and Sheldon Cottrell has done it.
And we have some interesting features, such as
Great moments in West Indian cricket. Rising stars.
Where Are They Now? Our former sporting icons. Sports Train on ITV. Don't miss it. Welcome back to Sports Train, and we say a special thank you to Blazers Sports Bar and Docks Engineering and Works Limited, our golden sponsors. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being a part of this exciting hour of sporting program. And we go to great moments in West Indies cricket. When you talk about great moments, you talk about a fellow they call Sir Frank Warren. Let's talk a little about him.
Oh my, what can I say again? When I hear the name Frank Warren, we just talk about legends. An iconic individual, Astil Ren, not only a cricketer, but a statesman of the highest proportions. You know, when Frank Warren died at the age of 42 of leukemia, after he came back from the tour of India back in 1966-67, there was a half-mast at Westminster Abbey for this man. The only time that there was a half-mast for a cricketer in world history. And what we are going to see here is just a quick video of that West Indies tour of Australia in 1960-61. Frank Warren became the first coloured man to captain the West Indies in a full test series. And this is just the end of the celebration of over 200,000 people in Melbourne. This is where the Sir Frank Warren Trophy was born, the rivalry between the West Indies and Australia. So let's have a clip, but before we talk the clip, Frank Warren, Your recollection.
Frank Worrell, I mean, I had the pleasure of speaking with Ladman Collins.
Yes,
Frank
again.
Worrell.
Yes, yes.
And he told me, I mean, one of the most gentlest men and kind-hearted men and soft-spoken men he has ever dealt with. And
Good.
Frank Worrell is one of those. I mean, he's one of a kind. Frank Worrell is a man that really personified West Indies cricket, that put West Indies cricket where we are at this time. We are not experiencing so much of great moments, but West Indies cricket owes a lot to Sir Frank Worrell.
A leader of men. Let's have a quick look at this clip.
Bring back the old time days. Bring back them old time ways. I know everything.
Frank was one of the great people. Just think for a moment of being the first black man to captain the West Indies overseas and the things he did and the way he did them. That was even more to the point. I don't know that you'll find anyone in the world who has a harsh word to say about Worrell.
That also gave an indication as to the togetherness, how the two teams played, how the two captains reacted to each other, and how it brought back cricket back to the standard and the place where it should be.
Bring back them old time ways. I know everything must change, but I still love the old time ways.
And there is the trophy, ladies and gentlemen. And I know these boys are very tired because they've had a very trying match. So without further ado, I'll hand this over to Frank. Thank him once again for the wonderful performance they've put up this year and ask him to do the honours.
The great Sir Frank Worrell exchanging the trophy with the victorious captain of that Australian side, Richie Benaud. Just a quick before we go, Frank Worrell as captain of the West Indies, 15 tests played as captain, 9 won, 3 lost, 2 drawn, and the famous tie test at Brisbane, 1960-61. Astel?
So Frank Worrell, I mean, there's no one, there's words are beyond us at this time to really describe the man because he has done so much for West Indies cricket. I mean, both on and off the field, both on and off the field of play. And off the field, Frank Worrell was a gentleman. On the field of play, he was a gentleman plus. He was superlative on the field of play.
Read about Frank Worrell, youngsters. Read about him. Well, we are just about the end of our, 4th edition. It has been a fantastic experience with you, having you fans out there, Blazers sports fans. I hope you have enjoyed it, and Docks Engineering Works Limited. We just want to thank our production team, Darren and Melissa, for a fantastic
Exactly.
job
I mean,
done.
without them, this show cannot get on the road, cannot be shown because your backroom staff is important. It's like you're having a bench in a football game. You're starting 11, but you must have a very good bench to see you through over this long haul. And they have been there, and we thank them so much as we thank our sponsors, Blazers and Docks Engineering and Works Limited.
I'm Riza Basali.
I'm Astil Ren.
This is Sports Train.
Get on board.
See you next time.